This is the beginning of the show. We're supposed to have music right here, though.
Yeah, well, about the music...
Do I have to redo the music again?
I mean, you may, but that's not what this is about.
Oh.
This is actually, Tyler, our 100th episode.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, no, for real serious.
That's so weird.
It's crazy.
Like, I don't think I've ever done 100 of anything in my life, except maybe...
I mean, like, you've probably gone to the bathroom 100 times.
Like, things that are voluntary is what I'm saying. Like, maybe I've played 100 hours of video games.
Yeah, probably.
I don't even think I've played 100 video games, though.
Yeah. You love how, this is, just setting the tone for the show that we bring up bathrooms in the first minute
right away.
Of our 100th
we
episode.
Need people to understand what the show's going to be about.
So this episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to give this a shot.
Whoa!
Got a little champagne going.
Yeah, make the bubbly flow.
While I pour this, I got a little bit of a different kind of song for us.
All right, here we go.
For this?
The fairness and equity of this tax exemption eludes me like a gazelle eludes an arthritic cat.
I feel
okay,
like
future podcast appearances, let's not talk about dead guinea pigs, okay? Can we agree to do that?
Yeah.
Not at all. We just do what we do. If you like it, whatever.
Yeah, there's plenty of people in the world now to listen to
you people.
Why can't Canby people keep track of their dogs? Like, what is that about? So what was prison like?
Prison was probably the best experience I've ever had in my life.
You need to know these things.
You run for school board, you win or you die.
There's no second place.
Don't remember specifically calling people stupid liberals.
Just call our library sexy.
It was sexy new library. It's exciting.
This is like the sexiest thing I've ever seen. Too awkward.
Too sexual?
Yeah. Way too sexy.
What do you like about Columbia? Why have you worked here for 20 years? Oh, yeah,
Just rubbed his belly for the benefit of the listeners.
I mean, you wouldn't guess when I was out there. I had a straight face, furrowed brow, and I was just ready.
Yeah,
but
in the zone.
inside of me was screaming.
So you're telling us that the board is saying they want to make Canby schools great again?
Yeah, welcome back, listeners.
Yeah, I hope you didn't get in a car wreck from that hilarious story that Frankie told.
I laugh.
There's like Comedy Central around here tonight. Oh my gosh, I blocked that memory out. Yes. Yeah.
It feels like we've been doing this interview for years.
Kids know who they are at all of these different ages, and they deserve to be listened to.
I can't imagine that Jason Bourne and the Stragglers have ever had a Journey tribute band opening for them, except for that one time. So
kill them all.
It can't be in Clackamas County. Very, very similar to season 5 of Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Don't tell Heather and Hannah, but this was definitely the highlight for me. So.
I'm glad you could come down here, though, and actually see it.
Yeah.
I really like that. In fact, do you think you could help me draft a lease agreement for my 5-year-old and 3-year-old?
There was just like dead radio silence for like 3 seconds. That's how my jokes usually go, but still.
It's a mic stand with an elbow.
That's what I said.
That's all you had to say.
An elbow is an army thing. It's
an army thing.
Part of your arm.
Yeah, we want to keep this going, and to do that, you can't be stupid with guns.
A couple days ago, Ellie asked me why my boobs are so small. Which I guess is sort of a compliment.
Wait, is this a template with that, or did you change that in this template?
I know that not voting is addictive if you drink too much of it.
And that's a good read.
Is like 98% just pictures of cats and dogs.
Yes.
I didn't break it. It broke. There's a difference.
Sounds lovely. I wish Ginger would have brought it.
I do.
You can ask me any question, I'll answer it truthfully and to the best of my abilities.
How much bikes are there?
How much bikes are there? I'd say there's 100% of bikes out there.
I think you need to change the damn code.
He's got an elbow done. He's got like one line. I'm in so much pain.
That's it.
Nice. Well done. I loved it.
Yeah, so in the future, our intro song will always be 4.5 minutes long.
4.5 minutes. Holy cow.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really fun way to go back and reflect on the past year.
I feel like over the last year, you and I have both broken out a little bit of what we like. You're the journalist, I'm the producer. But I think at this point, it's proven that you are doing way more of the breaking out of, because that was really well produced.
Thank you.
You did a good job. And I have yet to have anything interview-wise or, you know, anything as far as what you do that's close to the quality that you just did for that.
Well, it was largely forced on me. Largely by myself.
Yeah, wow.
But you just haven't had the opportunity that I've had for growth.
Sure.
So I, you know, a lot of the... And I feel that I've grown as an interviewer and journalist through this past year, even though I had experience in that before. But it's very different when you're working for newspapers as opposed to doing this where like every word you say is recorded, whereas when I'm like interviewing people for newspapers, like what I say matters almost not at all. And doing this I have to be a little more aware, although I can just, you know, if I say something stupid I can take it out after. But
sure,
yeah, you just haven't had the opportunities to do the content creation side as much. I bet you would. What I've seen you do, I think I've seen some growth from you.
I've been trying to do a lot of other stuff that like kind of fills some of the gaps that the projects that we're taking on. So I don't necessarily think that it's necessary for me to go, okay, I got to start interviewing, I got to go out into the world and do all this stuff that Frankie's doing. You're just filling in the gaps where it's like, oh, Tyler's not going to have time or the interest
right
to produce something like this.
That's a big question.
So I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, I like every day I come into that whiteboard to try and add more stuff that I can do.
It's a pretty busy whiteboard you got going on.
Well,
there.
right now it is definitely after yesterday's meeting.
Yeah, that was fun. Well, I got something to tell you. Here in a couple weeks, you may find yourself with a lot more opportunity. I am taking a break.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, baby number 3 is barreling down the pike. So
I guess you can take a break. I'll allow it.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna happen whether you allow it or not. So yeah, we'll be sharing a couple new voices who are going to be taking the place of this lovely Pipes.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it like super works out and everyone's like, please don't bring back those two idiots.
Yeah.
Who are still writing and producing everything.
Well, you'll still be on the mic, and I'll still be.
If I need to be, like if we've got people coming in to do it, I'm just gonna make them do it all.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work out that way, but you have your dreams. And I'll still be writing a lot of it.
Yeah.
My fingerprints will be all over this beast, but yeah, I'll be taking a little break from being in the studio.
Sure. Yeah. Baby number 3. Gotta take some time for that.
So this episode, guys, is going to be just looking back at some of our favorite moments, our favorite interviews over the past 100 episodes. I still can't believe it. As we sample some of this lovely, can't call it champagne, this is sparkling wine 2015.
I thought you meant like we can't call it champagne because we're like supposed to be upstanding citizens.
No, so like technically champagne, it only comes from the Champagne region of France.
Oh,
so
okay.
Everything else like legally has to be called sparkling wine. So this is a sparkling wine from Oregon.
Ooh.
From the Argyle Vineyard in the Willamette Valley. I've actually interviewed them before.
Nice.
Not for this.
Oh, right. Just in general.
I think they're over in the Newburgh Dundee area.
Yeah.
But it is 70% Pinot Noir, 20% Chardonnay, and 10%
Love.
Pinot Meunier.
Grigenier?
No, it's like a M word. Look at that. But I thought when I said Pinot Noir that would be red, but I guess it's white.
Sparkling, so why would it be?
Well, it's just based on if they put the skins in it or not.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try and read that.
Yeah. I think it's Meunier. I think that's how the
I don't think anyone's ever said Never mind, I'm not even going to try and repeat what you said. Because that just sounds like Thor's hammer.
Right. Mjolnir. So we're going to go backwards in time. Starting with the most recent.
Okay.
One of our favorite recent interviews was just last month, actually. We got to sit down with Tony and Betty Crawford. after a recent Canby Kiwanis meeting. Tony, of course, is a well-known teacher who taught a generation of Canby students over a 35-year career, mostly at Ackerman.
Me!
Yeah, including our own Tyler Clausen.
So if you want to know how well Tony is at teaching, just look at how successful I am.
You got one example sitting right in front of my eyes. But he's best known for the many influential guest speakers he brought to Canby School District over the years. In our interview, we asked him about some of his favorite memories from these different visits, and he shared this incredible story about the Dalai Lama. This actually was originally a Patreon exclusive, so many of our deadbeat non-Patreon listeners, just kidding, guys, are going to be hearing this for the first time. It's a really cool story.
Ready?
Nope.
Oh, well, I don't want to turn on the button because it rings. Boop, ba-doo, boo, boop, boo, boop, boo. Sorry, I was doing a musical interlude.
So yes, we had the Dalai Lama and 4 other Nobel laureates come to Portland, and then my students and Betty and I both were part of this gathering, and so we had a benefit after the Dalai Lama's initial visit of having groups of Tibetan Buddhist monks come to our school. Some of these were actually members of the Dalai Lama's cabinet of their government in exile, which is currently in India. But one of the monks, we had this one occasion where we had 5 monks. They came to the school, and they were going to be with us all day, and so we had some breakout sessions. They'd put on a full school assembly, with some music and dance, and it was just wonderful. So now we've got these breakout sessions, and there's some art, and there's some calligraphy, and there's and there's going to be a talk in my classroom, how to create world peace. Oh boy! So Lama Puncho, who's become a friend from that day on. Anyway, Puncho's going to come to my classroom. Well, as he enters my room, he sees it's standing room only. We all want to learn how to create world peace.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, all right, what's he going to be talking about? You know, U.S. foreign policy or United Nations resolutions? What's it going to be?
Right. De-armament and highfalutin stuff.
All these, ordinary social studies kinds of topics, right? And so he comes in and he sits down, and he's just noticing the crowd in the room, and he says, "So, you're all here to learn about creating world peace?" Yeah. And we're on the edge of our seat waiting. Right. Okay, tell us, Right. So he says, okay, well, to create world peace, you must develop a good heart. And then he stopped. And it was like, okay, that's it?
Yeah.
But the thing was the simplicity and the significance of that one statement was so profound that he did eventually continue speaking. But he said, look, if you have a good heart and I have a good heart, we will be at peace with each other. And if everyone in this room has a good heart, we will all be at peace with each other. And then likewise, if everyone on earth has a good heart, we will all be at peace with each other. And, if someone were to ask me, reflecting on, 35 years in the classroom, what stands out maybe as my favorite lesson, that might be the one.
Wow.
There were many, many wonderful lessons and wonderful memories with all of these, incredible guests we were able to bring to our school.
Yeah.
But that one I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Oh, I don't know that. Why are you doing that? How much of that sparkling wine have you
Just
drunk?
a couple sips.
Oh, okay.
If you want to make
it's a pretty
the
cool
world
story,
a
huh?
better place, take a look at yourself and make the change.
Oh my gosh, please stop.
It's classic Michael Jackson, man.
Yeah, I don't know if we have the rights to do that. And even if we do, please stop.
Please just stop.
I always thought that like, reflecting on that story, it'd be funny. He was like, the Dalai Lama said you have to have a good heart, and then like eventually he started talking more. It's like, it'd be funny if he just left. Like,
yeah.
You have to have a good heart, and then he just literally like dropped the mic and just walked out of the room. He was there for like 45 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty profound message. It's simple, but it's something that I don't think anybody really. It's almost too simple, because how do you actually do that?
You doubt it because it's so simple. It's like, there's got to be more to it than that.
Nobody ever does that.
Yeah. You, obviously, as you mentioned, Tony Crawford was your teacher. You were involved in the Peace Garden, I think, right?
Yeah, I was. In fact, I was there the year that that monk came to our school.
Oh, okay. The Dalai Lama.
No, there was a different monk. I don't think it was the Dalai Lama.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a different monk.
Okay.
Who showed up.
Cool.
But, yeah.
Did it have a profound impact on you?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it did. It exposed me to different cultures and made me realize that the stuff that I was taught was not the only thing that's in the world, and opened my mind up a little bit to caring for other people who are not the same as me.
Yeah.
So, yes, it did.
So the Peace Garden, it's kind of not necessarily super well known, especially to newer Canby residents, but it has a relic from the World Trade Center disaster. And as we're coming up here now on the 18th anniversary of 9/11, next Tuesday, it would definitely be a good opportunity to go check that out if you've never seen it before. It's been a few moments there. Yeah,
I'd say the two best places are the firehouse,
right,
and then the Peace Garden. It's over at Ackerman. It's right as you. I mean, it's, I guess, kind of in a back area. You have to kind of walk onto the old Ackerman campus. It's kind of over by the old library there. So you're not going to see it from the streets. You have to kind of walk onto the campus to find it.
Yeah. And the fire district is going to be at their 9/11 memorial. They'll be hosting their annual ceremony along with the police department at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. If folks want to go to that as well. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
So our next interview, I put this list together before some recent events in our community. But at this point, I know one thing that people in Canby want to hear about more than any other thing would be fireworks.
Sure. We got to talk about them fireworks.
I know. I mean, that's one thing that just has not been talked about enough in our community.
Quick, I didn't see any retaliation for my statements made on our show, and I was very concerned about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was legit like scared to go on the internet for 2 days.
Forward to you all that hate mail I got? I'll get that to you.
Yeah.
So back on July 4th, we sat down with Heather Gobey. She's the owner of Western Display Fireworks, along with her two kids, David and Hannah. Heather told us the fascinating history of her family-owned company through several generations, and it's really kind of a quirky, cool story. And later, David took us on a tour of the property that we'll also share a short clip from.
Business was founded by my great-grandparents on a little farm outside of Canby, and they used to grow ginseng and golden seal for export to China.
Right. It wasn't their dream to do a fireworks company.
It was
just happened.
Totally by happenstance. And so one year, apparently, as I understand it, they sent their herbs over to China and weren't able to get full payment in cash.
Right. This would have been late 40s.
Probably mid to late 40s when this all started.
Yeah, there was some economic issues happening in China.
Yes, so they sent fireworks back, and at that time the rules
for money.
Yeah, exactly. And so then my great grandfather was quite an entrepreneur, Mickey Wygant, and he saw the opportunity to sell the fireworks and probably make more money than farming the herbs. And back then the laws were basically non-existent around fireworks.
Sure.
So my sweet little great grandmother used to haul boxes of M80s down to the train station in the middle of Canby and ship them all over the United States, which was completely legal at that time.
Yeah, that's an awesome picture. Picturing a little old lady just toting some M80s down to downtown Canby back in the late 1940s.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And your great grandparents, I imagine, like, were they not expecting, obviously, to get fireworks back, or kind of were like, what am I supposed to do with this?
That's as I understand it. That's out of necessity. They figured out what to do with it, and so there were.
Seen fireworks before?
Yeah, they had, and I think it had been an interest of my great grandfather's.
Okay,
he was
cool.
he was the type of guy that was kind of interested in a little bit of everything. So
most guys like to blow stuff up. Right, David? Oh yeah.
Exactly. So then basically the transition from there is they sold commercial fireworks, and then the first actual aerial display they did, which is the genesis of our company, was in Taft, Oregon, right there in front of what's currently Moe's.
Right.
They put together, assembled a number of consumer fireworks, and that was our first true display that we did. So.
And I just can't stress enough, like, it's so beautiful out here. You got these gorgeous woods, right? Old, pristine, like a sanctuary, and then these bunkers that don't even necessarily seem that weirdly out of place. You know what I mean? No. They sort of look like older kind of farmy type buildings. And
my grandparents have always been not anti-hunting, but this is like the nature sanctuary. Nobody hunts out here, so there's always 10 deer just hanging out, and
no idea what's in these bunkers.
No, and they've gotten to the point now. They just look at you. You just drive by and they're just looking at you
what are you doing here?
Yeah, we know you're not gonna hurt us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't look at the building and be like, "Oh, that's full of fireworks."
Right?
It's
just totally.
Low key, and that's not. You don't want to be advertising.
Yeah.
So these glass doors are about twice as big. They're 8 feet?
Yeah.
At least. And 5 inches thick. But this is all of our case storage for our multi-shot boxes.
Okay.
So basically, every single one of these is a multi-shot box, like I was telling you before, that has the different effects. But these go from 1 inch in diameter up to 3 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, and different effects and everything like that. So,
do you guys have a number, for July 4th? How many fireworks come through this facility? The multiple facilities. Do you have any idea?
Hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands, because what we do at the...
Every year.
Every year,
yeah.
This podcast has given me a love for different weird sounds. I love when that door opens. So cool.
You could use that for our Halloween episode.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, it'd be a great sound effect for that. So
100,000 pounds a year.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, and there's some things the podcast, makes really cool, like those sound effects, things that you know we can share with listeners that I could never do in newspapers. But then there's also so much that it's still limited, just the experience of being out there. I kind of tried to describe, driving through this pristine wilderness, outside of Canby. Anyone who's ever been outside of Canby, seen the woods out there, kind of knows what that is like, the beautiful woods and forests we have around here. And then to just come upon these, bunkers that are huge and have these huge blast doors, and they're just loaded with hundreds of thousands of fireworks. You can't even describe that.
Right,
it's
so weird.
You have to just see it, yeah.
Canby's awesome.
It is awesome, yeah. Well, keeping things moving here.
Yeah. You've got a lot of clips up for us to listen to. I'm excited.
Yeah, we do. We have a long show for you guys today. So
it's definitely going to be a little bit longer.
It's going to be, our last show, I think, was almost 2 hours. It was great.
Nah.
No, the last one was okay. The one before that, when we had the long soapbox about the fireworks.
Yeah.
That was an hour and 40
Where you just
minutes.
let me keep talking and talking and talking.
I was trying to give you the signal, but you weren't paying attention. But this was another really fun one. And I should also say, at this point, this was really hard to narrow down to 15. You would think after doing 100 episodes, there'd be you'd have pretty regularly some kind of throwaway ones, or ones that are just phoning it in a little bit. And we definitely had a lot of them. No, I'm just kidding. There were so many going back. I think my initial thing was going to be 40.
Yeah.
I'm I have to cut this. There's no
40.
Tyler's gonna walk out of this room, like. But it was painful, like cutting it down to 15. So I tried to just do some of the coolest stuff, the coolest people we got to talk to, or some of the things that stood out to me, just kind of impactfully. So yeah, I made the list. I'm allowed to do that. So.
You can do whatever you want, dude.
If you folks are listening and missing some of your favorites, I'm sorry.
You can always tell us which episodes and which clips you like the most. Feel free to let us know.
In the form of a review on Facebook, or
that, or just a comment on Facebook.
Yeah, a review.
I mean, you can just let us know.
So our next clip comes from one of the biggest new developments in Canby over this past year, both literally and figuratively, was Project Shakespeare. It's a 500,000 square foot beverage warehouse and distribution facility that we now know, after months of wondering, or basically open secret, to be the new home of Columbia Distributing.
You were so excited about this.
I was really excited about this.
When you first told me, like, dude, I got a scoop.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Maybe my first, like, big scoop.
It was a big one.
Yeah.
You were so excited.
And I was like really nervous. Like, I kept checking the website of the Canby Herald, like making sure that they didn't have it, but of course they didn't. Just kidding.
I wasn't gonna say
it. Just kidding, Canby Herald. But anyway, back in episode 74, back in June, we sat down with Columbia Distributing's Andy Geisler and Lindsay Taylor, and I asked a question that I had been dying to ask since I had first heard this name, Project Shakespeare, 10 months earlier. That's no joke.
Question that I've had ever since I first heard about Project Shakespeare is the name, and the question I've been dying to ask: does it mean anything? Did you guys come up with it? Is there some secret link to William Shakespeare?
Yeah, he knows more about this than probably
most. It is, because when we started looking at it, we weren't sure if we would do this. We weren't sure if the project would pencil out.
Okay.
So
this is just in general, or specifically in Canby?
The Canby project, because we had to look at the cost of construction. To move down there, employee transfer down there, but also it's not exactly in the centroid of our distribution network in Portland.
No, it's not.
So it extended some run time for what we call stem time for our delivery trucks. So we had to run a lot of math on that. And so it comes from to be or not to be.
Yeah.
That's where the Shakespeare reference.
So there is a reason for it.
Okay,
cool.
It's catchy. It's very catchy.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. There was conspiracy theories flying around. People were like, I think the owner of McMinimans is a really big Shakespeare. People were so I bet it links somehow, but that's really cool. Okay.
Yeah. But I know you mentioned that once the announcement came out, how much research, you probably had to do 5 minutes of research to find out a beverage distributor, because the announcement came out and they mentioned beverage distributor.
Yeah.
And there's only one in the Pacific Northwest that would need a warehouse that large.
Yeah. So that is, it was, I've kind of downplayed it, but it was basically an open secret that it was nobody would officially say we can't say but everyone knew. So just because it was the only one that kind of makes sense. But can we talk a little bit about that decision? So you're moving three warehouses here down there. What is it? Just kind of you're out of room here, or you're expanding? What was the thought process for you looking at Canby?
When you operate out of 3 warehouses, you touch the product a lot more than you want to. So
what does that mean?
Well, across the river, we receive most of our product over there, and stored in a backstock warehouse.
Gotcha.
And then every day we run over 20 to 40 loads from that warehouse to replenish this warehouse where we pick the product. And most operations is just in one building.
Sure.
So we spend a lot of money every year
just
repicking it, loading it, shuttling it, receiving it here, restocking it here, just to be picked and shipped out. So that was one. The other one was just the growth profile that we're expecting, and that we wanted a building that would work for us for the next 15 years of anticipated growth.
Right. Because when it was initially filed, and I believe still the case as far as we know, it was designed with the possibility of up to 2 expansions to add another 50% to its current 538,000 square foot size.
One thing to keep in mind too is we have 4 other branches in Oregon. Those branches typically only hold 500 to 700 of the items that we hold here, and then every night we pick the other it's other 20% of their volume, but 80% of the items come out of here, and we transfer them down to those branches every night.
Sure.
So this facility just doesn't hold all the inventory for just the Portland area. It's also the other branch areas. So we cover a lot of state coverage with the items that we carry here.
Sure.
Such a big news break, literally.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is fascinating to me, the size of that company. I walked through, and later in that episode, back in '74, we did a tour of that facility, which again is trying to describe with words. But it's this huge, 60 feet high shelves of just stocked with all of it, and it's enormous. And they have 3 of those, just because they've grown so fast, so much that they have to shuttle between these different. That's why they're building this enormous, 2.5 times the size of Fred Meyer building in Canby, because they have just grown that much that is just the size that they need. It's crazy. We're here in our studio that's 100 square feet,
and we were so excited to move into it.
Oh yeah, we're really excited.
It's
and it
a big
is,
deal.
To be fair, it is I would love maybe 50 more square feet would be great. But I cannot imagine ever needing more than that huge warehouse they have in Portland, and that's just one of their 3 Portland warehouses.
Right.
And I mean, they need more space, but also just the shuttling back and forth.
Yeah.
And the costs associated with that. No,
for sure. It's pretty nuts, man. I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm more conscious of what's happening in town more, but it seems like in the last 100 episodes, a lot of stuff has been happening in Canby.
That's a good question. That would be a longer conversation if this is just that we, because I'm the same way. I was probably more aware of stuff than you were to start with, but I am way more aware of stuff now than I was.
Right.
And it is a question of, are we just more aware of it, or is more stuff? I tend to think that this has been a pretty big year for Canby.
Yeah. But if we tried to do this even 7 years ago, I don't know if we would have been able to sustain ourselves as a news show, because there wouldn't be the news to put out.
Yeah. Well, we do occasionally reach into other communities, our next segment.
Oh, segue!
From Malala. As you know, Tyler, and as our longtime listeners know, I'm a sucker for unique and unusual stories that happen around town and give color to our lives. Often we find these in our researching of Canby's history, but that was not the case with this story, which broke out into the national news just this past year. So this is about Rosemarie Bentley. She's well known to many as the owner and proprietor of the Bentley Feed Store in Malala.
Mm-hmm.
She donated her body to further the education of medical students at OHSU after she passed away peacefully at the age of 99.
Yep.
But when the students examined her, they made the startling discovery that Rosemarie had a condition known as, I'm going to do my best with this, situs inversus with levocardia, meaning that all of her major organs are transposed, so they're on the wrong side of the body, except for her heart, which is still on the left side. So that's kind of why they didn't know, because that's the mainly external organ that people would look for. It's the heart. They would, with a stethoscope or whatnot. So none of the other organs really particularly make noise like the heart does. So they would listen for the heart. That was in the right side. So they had that was on the correct side.
The question I always had with this story was her brain reversed? Was she left-handed, meaning she would have been right-handed?
Yeah.
Or was she right-handed, which means technically she would have been a lefty?
Yeah. I did make that joke. I don't think that that's the case. I think I made the joke that she would walk around backwards or something.
Right. That doesn't make sense. Her organs weren't backwards. They were just on the wrong side.
I know, but the brain being, I don't know.
All right.
I think it's just the organs in the abdomen and the chest.
Got it.
That are, except for the heart. So anyway. It's a very rare condition and often one that comes with other health complications, such as that it's estimated that only 1 in 50 million ever make it to adulthood. But
really?
Rosemarie lived to be 99. Before her, the oldest known people died in their 70s. So back on episode 68, we spoke with 3 of her daughters who told us what the experience was like.
university went to that convention. I think it was in Florida.
I don't know.
And talked about it. I think it kind of exploded after that.
Okay, cool.
Because they were going to put it in some magazine.
Yeah, and then they
a journal.
A journal.
And they
yes.
were going to a convention and
Gotcha.
going to talk about it.
So that's how it kind of got out. Yeah.
See, then after they work on her for a long time, the students, then they'll cremate her and send her back to us.
Oh, okay.
And then my dad, we have him. He did the same thing.
Cremation.
And he went to OHSU, also.
Yeah.
And so then we'll have their ashes to sprinkle up on Goat Mountain.
On Goat Mountain above Malala. That's where they want.
Goat Mountain.
Goat Mountain.
Why?
They used to have. You can overlook Malala from there.
Yeah.
You used to have a smoke tower.
Oh, cool.
Smoke fire.
Yeah, that's really special. So just that they cared so much about Malala in that area.
He wanted to look over Malala. That's where he wanted to be. So.
That's cool.
So we're just waiting.
Just
for
waiting.
Moms.
Yeah, you don't know when it'll be, but soon.
Well, we're hoping. They did say. I thought it was just going to be a year, but somebody said, they can keep them up to 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be next year.
And with her, they may.
Yeah,
because it's so different.
After I heard that.
Yeah. Interesting.
So.
But they said there was a not like a funeral. It wasn't. What would you call it? A presentation ceremony that they had. There was probably 250 people there, don't you think? That had donated their family member or somebody.
Oh, cool.
And it was a lovely ceremony that they did.
Just to say thank you.
To say thank you, that they were so appreciative, because it's so much better for them to work on a real cadaver than one that isn't real.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was a very nice ceremony. It was for everybody.
And we sat across the table from one of the students, and she said, was a family member. I said, yeah, it was my mom, Rosemary. And she goes, oh, we learned a lot from Rosemary.
Oh, that's what one of the students said.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And normally I don't think they're supposed to know all the names.
Right,
and all
right.
That. So it was kind of funny that she
Rosemary's
said that.
hard to forget.
Yeah, but of course, too, when they first were trying to open her and everything, they said they were looking for a specific vein or artery or something, and they said there isn't one. And of course the professor said, oh yes, there is.
Rolling his eyes coming over there.
Yeah, but it was on the other side.
Oh,
so that's where it began.
Yeah.
It didn't go
I bet those students felt pretty vindicated that day.
See?
Then everybody was there.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting.
Oh, that'd be an interesting
the
scene.
ceremonies, they talk about some of the things they learn, and then they do, a lot of them are very talented musical, and so they would do that kind of thing.
Right, and it's something that would be unexpected, not only because it's so rare, but they wouldn't expect it to be in someone who's so old.
That's right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think they had one documented at 73.
A man.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember from the news coverage. So,
So we've got Pat Ginger made copies of all the stories that we had.
Oh, cool.
No, Ginger did.
Sorry. Yeah. So we
That's
can
awesome.
have them and keep them.
Do they know what causes it? It's just a random...
No, I think they said it at, what they say, the first 30 days or 45 days in the process of becoming a human. In the embryo is when it happens.
Okay.
And that's the only thing we
So
know.
something just goes awry, but the life keeps ticking on.
And she was one of 4, the youngest of the 4.
Oh, okay.
And had 3 brothers.
Yeah.
So who knows?
And baby continually.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. She was spoiled rotten.
And they're all gone now, and we don't have a clue whether maybe one of them had the same kind of thing.
Sure.
But they're...
That story... Excuse me. That story reminds me of my wife. Like, 'cause I can never find stuff. Where the medical students are like looking for the vein, and they're like, the vein's not there. The doctors like roll their eyes, and like, of course it's there.
Yeah.
Joelle's always sending me to find some tool or something, and I'm like, it's not there. And she rolls her eyes at me, but she's usually right. She usually like comes and looks for 5 seconds. And she's like, it's right here, and I'm like, well, I didn't look there. So that was
I got really good at looking for stuff when my mom would lose things, and then I'd have to look for it, and then she'd get mad at me because I couldn't find it. And she said she'd always say, if it was a snake, you would have been bit or something dumb like that, some southern accent thing. And so now
it would have bit you.
Yeah, if it was a snake, it would have bit you.
My grandma used to say stuff like that. Yeah.
And so I got really good at finding stuff, and so now I do that with Becca all the time.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I'd be a really good doctor.
Yeah. Well, you and Joelle would get along really well. Okay, number 5. So, as you know, Tyler, Canby is a close-knit community.
Yeah.
And so I often have, I should say, opportunity of meeting for the first time people that everyone else in town already know.
Sure.
Such was the case back in episode 64 when I had the great pleasure, I loved this interview, of interviewing Mike Harms, better known to everyone as Doc Harms. He's a longtime large animal vet who's practically a legend among rodeo organizers and ranchers in our area. One of the stories he told us from his long and colorful career was from a trip out to what he calls kind of hillbilly country.
There's one story one thing that always stuck out with me.
Yeah?
I was working in Corvallis. I hadn't been out of school very long.
Okay.
And the doctor that owned the clinic gave me very explicit instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Drive out in the hills south of Corvallis, south and west of Corvallis, out towards the coast.
Mm-hmm.
I called it kind of hillbilly country.
Right.
And he says, now when you get down at the bottom of the lane, honk your horn. Somebody will wave you up, treat the calf, get your money, and come home. I thought, that is very explicit instructions. I never had that before.
Yeah.
So I get down there.
Sounds a little sketchy to me, Doc.
I drive up there, and here's a grandma sitting on the front porch with a rocking chair with a 30-30 card being across her lap. And the tallest woman I think I ever saw in my life told me, we went to the back, we treated the cow, I got my money. I came back and I got back to the clinic. I said, where in the hell did you send me? And he started laughing. He said, that's a widow woman with an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast. Okay, I don't even know where I went.
She never sat down that 30-30 the whole time either.
I sat there in a rocking chair.
That's funny.
But, there's a lot of stories to tell there in the hills, and everything around that and around Canby, but it was not like going to the same job and tightening the same nut on the same bolt every day. Everything was different. Things come in. That makes it so interesting. That's why it's not work.
Yeah, that's kind of the magic of doing what we do, man, is like getting some of those stories that you can't find anywhere else.
Yep.
And just seeing this old guy like come alive telling that story was pretty special as well. So what did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me how we have such a diverse group of people in like this area, because like Canby doesn't have hillbillies, but like no, I mean honestly though, in Canby, Canby's a city. You've got city people living here. You go outside of Canby 5 minutes, and you've got farmers and country people, and then you go.
But they would consider themselves Canby.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. They're still in Canby. But then you go easily 30 minutes outside of Canby in the right direction, and you will run into people who are like, we have nothing to do with cities or towns. Right. Like, we are self-sustaining, self-sufficient people.
Yeah.
And I think that's super interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love this area specifically so much. I love the Willamette Valley so much for that.
I do too. It is really cool. So we are going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with a lot more interviews and a lot more memories.
Unless you're listening on Patreon, then you're not going to get it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, right.
Are you a small business owner or maybe thinking of investing in yourself with your very own startup? Awesome! Now all you have to do is reach potential customers at a time when consumers have never been more fragmented, more distracted, or more difficult to reach. If that sounds hard, believe me, it is. That's why I make Frankie do it.
Carrie and her team at Promotional Strategies offer strategic, purposeful solutions to build your brand with lasting promotional items that make sense for you and your company. They are creative geniuses who will deliver advertisements that people actually thank you for and will use every day. We've tried other sellers, and we trust Carrie to provide high-quality branded items that we can be proud of. Find them at 695 Southeast 1st Avenue in Canby or online at ps266swag.com. The Canby Now podcast and Now Here the Studios would like to thank Ryan David Dwyer for composing the intro music for our new limited series podcast, The Other Side.
Ryan is a local composer, songwriter, and budding music producer interested in a variety of contract jobs. He also loves to teach people how to play the piano without sheet music, so they can just start channeling and experiencing their inner creativity. Give his website a look at harpaziomusic.com. That's HARPAZIO music.com.
And we're back. Well, Tyler, at this point, we're going to look back on what I think is fair to say, the part of this show that you've been looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
We do get the opportunity. Obviously, one of the things that we're most well positioned for as a podcast is for musicians to come on the show, and we often ask them to play a couple songs for us as well. And I find almost invariably, like, our musical tastes are like exactly aligned. Like, the things that I think are great, you think are great. Stuff that I hate, you hate. It's just always just right on. I mean, is that fair to say?
It's the exact same as fonts.
Yes, exactly. On t-shirts, we're always like right on the same wavelength. Tyler never likes the music that I like, guys.
And Frankie never likes the fonts I choose.
Yeah. So this is going to be a little painful for him, but I'm going to enjoy it. These are some of
I have a mute button ready.
He's going to just like rip the cords out of his headphones. He's going to need those. So these are some of most of the musical guests we've had over the past 100 episodes.
Is this all one file?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Jingle, 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 jingle all the way. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle bells.
I can't rest. You better know I ain't no sweetness, I'm not the girl your mama's gonna like. I'm a shot of whiskey, little rough and tumble. If you're chasing me, now you're chasing trouble.
Can't we do walking together? I'll be on the valley of trees. Out where there's a little sign of heather, curtsy gently in the breeze. That's what I'd like to do. See the heather, but with you. But I never had a kiss like hers. Those lips just fixed and wrecked me. Never felt a touch like that. Those hands rewrote my history. I might have said it once or twice in between all those goodbyes, but love to me was just another word. Till I had a heart like hers. A clash of drums, a flash of light, my golden coat flew out of sight. Others fading to the darkness of my 'Cause I can't get these jeans on anymore.
Is that Chris?
No, this is Tony Starlight.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I forgot to put Chris in this. He's gonna be so mad.
He is gonna be mad. Chris, that's his fault, not mine. I love you.
It's because I didn't do the interview with Chris. I forgot him.
sit here all day.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
No, it was great. Honestly, it was.
What do you think of my producing skills now, boy?
Yeah, dude, you're stitching stuff together like real well. You're doing a great job. I didn't realize how many musical guests we've had on our show.
Yeah, they kind of fly under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, and they're 85% very talented.
That is such a low blow.
I'm not gonna say which ones I do and don't like.
Yeah.
But I'm also gonna just say like, I'm not gonna just say people are good. You got to be good.
Yeah. Some of them are amazing. Like Haley Verhollen.
She is very good.
She's I mean, and not to say anything about anybody else's voice, but she is an incredible voice. Fair amount of country music, I think it's fair to say.
Yep.
This is Canby after all.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know, the talent, and I'm probably more high on most of them than you are. But
because you had to
taste.
look them in the eye and sit down with most of them to have the interview.
Well,
so
I made the same point about the car show people, because I'm not a car show guy.
Right.
But like anyone, like the time it takes to, well, just a God-given talent first of all,
Yeah.
but also the time to cultivate that talent to get as good at something as they are, even if it's not necessarily your cup of tea. Like I think that's worth celebrating, and it impresses me. It's something that I like to celebrate and record on a microphone. So
yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot Chris. He's gonna be so mad.
He's gonna be so angry.
Yeah, local Canby band Mega Thruster. This is a good seg actually, because he appeared on our April Fool's episode. That's why I forgot about him, because I didn't actually do the interview with him.
Right.
Yeah.
It was Brandon Sidam and I can't remember the other guy's name.
You're about to hear him.
Here we go.
Chaz Manunos. So back on our April Fool's episode, it was controversial.
Was it?
Yeah,
I didn't
remember.
I remember some people were like, "This is really dumb," and some people were like, "This is really great."
I mean, that's controversy.
Okay, all right.
So we basically staged a takeover of the Canby Now podcast. We sort of told people that we were out and there were new hosts coming in, and we changed the logo and everything, and it was just really bad.
Yeah.
It was a logo that I used to think was good, like when we were developing the logo, and I was like, I kind of like this one, and everyone else was like, that is the worst. Yeah, everyone else, like everyone else. It wasn't even like a few people were like, oh, I see why you like that. Everyone's like, that is terrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, we made that the logo of the show.
Yep.
And we got these two new people, and there were like some people who got the joke and were like, this is gold. Like I remember that exact quote, this is gold, this was so funny. But probably more the majority were like, I don't like this. Like I was so glad when I found out it was a joke. Like yeah. So anyway, it was all for the best. So we returned right at the end of the episode to take our rightful place as host. It went a little something like this.
Right now, I was thinking,
that's Chaz.
The other guys don't normally talk about the cities around Canby enough. And so I thought, just, I'd name off some that I think are pretty cool. So here we go. Number 1, Malala. They got a buckaroo or something like that. That's pretty cool. They do some bull riding and stuff like that. All right, number 2, Wilsonville. 3 words. Family Fun Center. My childhood. Number, what am I on? 3?
So ridiculous.
Let's see.
He made it to 3 before he got
Aurora.
confused.
Because it's dope. Number 4, Oregon City. 1 reason, bridges. Number 5, Westland. Because they're the other side of the bridge.
Other side of the
just
bridge.
connects. Number, 6, Tualatin. Because Bridgeport. Number 7, I know I'm going over 5 here, but I'm just really passionate about these cities. Number 7, Tiger, because it sounds like tiger, and that is dope. Number 8, Beaverton, because beavers are dope, and I'm a Beaver fan, and, you know, Nike and all that. Number 9, Milwaukee. Comic books. I mean, what else, man? Number 10, Gresham. It's the only movie theater I am willing to drive to. Not joking. Number 11, Hillsboro. Because for some reason the word Hillsboro reminds me of the word Hobbit, and that is dope.
Dude, what are you doing here?
What's going on, guys?
Who are you?
How can I help you? Welcome to the Camby Now podcast.
No, this is my basement. Like, this is my living room, dude. What are you doing?
Well, where have you been for the past 3 days?
Is this recording?
Also, you're not on the Camby Now podcast?
Why do you have these microphones set up like you knew we were going to be here?
Well, yeah, that was handy. Thank you.
My co-host was supposed to be here, and he's nowhere to be found, if you know anything about that.
What co-host? This is our show. This is the Camby Now podcast.
Brandon Bam Bam Sidam.
Never heard of him, have you?
No, I have literally never heard of someone.
Yeah. And who are you?
My name is Chasma Munoz.
That sounds like a made-up name.
It is not made up whatsoever.
Sounds like the sort of thing that someone who was making up a character would make up.
I feel like we just walked in on also like the most boring thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Were you just naming cities?
And you were just saying cities.
No.
Do you think that's good content? Do you think people want to hear you just listing cities?
We know good content.
You know what? I'm catching the vibe here that I am not wanted around, so I will take my leave.
What do you mean you're going to take your leave? You broke and entered into my... Where are you going?
Did you break a window? How did you get in
Where
here?
are you going right now? Come back! Chaz!
Okay, are we calling the police?
I mean, I think we should probably explain... I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know. What do we do with this?
And number 12.
Oh my god, he's back!
I can't think of another city.
This is the worst
that's on you guys.
I've ever heard.
Think of other
Also,
cities.
I fed your cats.
What? You fed my cats? Don't... Just walk away.
He could have done Wilsonville.
Yeah, Wilsonville's nice.
Yeah. They just had a fire that was horrible. They did. Wow, that was weird.
Yeah. I don't... we should probably start on the show, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All
So, hope he didn't, like, record stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
I'm gonna check my computer. Hold
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So thoughts. I guess I can never say Menunios, right?
Yeah, Chasma Munoz.
Menunios.
Menunios.
I put the ye on the wrong part. Menunios. Can't say it.
Doesn't matter. He's not a
It's
real
not
person.
A real person. Also, I think he may be the only person I've ever met less informed than you are. So he knows nothing about anything.
He did get all of his information on those cities from me.
That's true. I also feel like he was expecting us to come in sooner, and he had to ad-lib a little bit.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like, we were just behind the scenes, like, keep going.
Yeah.
Like, what? No.
He just, like, the last 3 were just like, because it's dope. Medford, because it's dope.
I'm not saying we're not going to do April Fools again.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we're definitely going to do it.
So you're saying the opposite of that.
What I'm saying is, it might not be the exact same format, but I loved having fun with it for a day.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I'm not sure exactly if we'll do the same thing or something different, but
we'll figure something out.
Yeah. Anyway, on a more serious note, back in March, we had the opportunity to talk to a local sports legend. Jackie Wiles is an Aurora-born Canby High School grad who went on to become an integral part of the U.S. ski team at the 2014 Winter Olympics. Had you heard of her?
Nope.
No. Okay. So she was in the 2014 Winter Olympics at the age of 21. 4 years later, she suffered a horrific injury the week before she was about to hop on a plane to compete in her second Olympic Games. She has spent much of the past 18 months in grueling mental and physical rehabilitation, and this past summer she reached her goal, this was really awesome, of getting back on the slopes, and has since restarted her competitive skiing career. Back in episode 41, we talked to her and asked her what new perspective or life lessons she had gained from the process.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've realized how important family and friends and that support that you surround yourself with is. I got so caught up in just the racing world that I've always been a part of, and thinking just ski racing is life and everything, and it almost just became just so much of me. It was just like, okay, that's what I do, but it's not who I am. And by having this injury, I've taken a step back and kind of had just this new perspective, I guess, of what's important. And
sure. And
so it's been good to have that time with family and friends, and just have that new outlook, I guess. And if there was one thing that I could tell other athletes, like a big thing that I've learned is there's so much out there besides that sport. It might seem the biggest thing in the world, that it's the only thing that matters, and that it's just that is your world. But then you take a step back from it and you just see how much is out there, and how really in the grand scheme of things what we do, it's like, yeah, it's exciting, but there's so much else going on that is so much more important. And yeah, I like there's, no matter what, there's going to be another chapter after ski racing, and who knows how soon that'll be, but when that time comes, I'll be, I think, ready for it. And I've just been really grateful to have been able to do the sport that I love for so long. So
For sure.
Yeah. It feels like a lot of positives.
Yeah, and we already know the next chapter now. It's going to be Jackie joins the carnival as a new chainsaw juggler. So that'll be cool to see.
I'll be juggling sharp skis though.
Oh, okay, and then on a slack line while you're doing it.
Yeah, there you go.
But it is cool, because obviously talking to you, I don't get the sense that you've lost any of your commitment or passion for your sport. It's just it's not everything now. Like you've kind of said, it's still there. It's still very strong, but you kind of have it in a little bit better focus, or a little bit better in balance with other things that are obviously important to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm still excited in the gym to be bigger, faster, stronger in every sense. And I feel like it's given me time to work on a lot of the little things athletically that I have time to improve on. And now I'm excited to get back. I'm more motivated than ever. Like I haven't lost that fire to want to compete. I've still watched all the races this year just so I can still feel a part of the race community and see what's going on. Even though I've felt pretty removed, I think I'll appreciate being on the mountains more. It's not that I didn't appreciate it before, but I feel like when you have something that you love so much taken away from you, it's always sad that you hear that, but it almost takes a moment when that gets taken away for you to appreciate it. So I definitely will appreciate the highs a lot more now that I've had kind of these tough lows.
Yeah, and like I said, so that was back in March. This past summer, she actually got back on the slopes for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. It was like there were like a couple of setbacks as well with that, but she did get back on the slopes, and now she is since back on the team and competing. So
very cool.
It's amazing. Yeah. Quite the competitor, quite the person. It was wonderful to talk to her. So,
yeah, for sure.
Moving along.
Because we didn't just mess up right there.
Yeah, not at all. One thing we love to do around here is mark special holidays and occasions in our own unique way. On Valentine's Day, we got the chance to, this was really cool, so we got the chance to visit the Canby Adult Center and talk with 3 couples, each one who had been married for over 60 years.
Yeah.
And we're about to revisit is our interview with Don and Beverly Purvis, who are married. It's no contest, but they were married the longest, 64 years at that time.
Yeah.
And as they told us, they actually met at a party.
Just a small group party, you know.
Sure, Don,
we were just having fun. And
I believe that.
And we went together for a year and a half or a
About
year.
a year and a half.
And she graduated from high school, and she was
it's always good.
She was married, and I was 19 and she was 17.
Oh, okay.
But I turned 18 a week later.
She always
I always have to say that.
Okay. You always have to say that for how many years? Yeah, that's young.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah,
very young.
Yeah. How did that work? Was there challenges you guys faced from that?
Oh, there was always challenges, but we didn't understand challenges. We were so young.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't know anything, but you don't know anything. So.
Yeah, right. That's right. Exactly. You know, we just.
So you feel great.
Just go with the flow, and we didn't even know what the flow was, but.
Yeah. So how long ago would that have been? How long have you been here?
1954.
Yeah. So about
64 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That is a long time.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. How'd you wind up out here?
How do we wind up where?
Out here.
Well, I was in the building business in Southern California, and I was a framing contractor at that time. And the building industry kind of had a slowdown.
Okay.
And
I wonder what that would be like.
Well,
we've been through a few.
No income.
Right. Yeah.
No income, and we started praying about it. And then, since she's originally from Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Her aunt and they started. I don't know how it got between. Probably from her mother, who lived down there with us, not in our, not with us, but lived in that area. She probably was talking to her sister about the business up in Portland, and it was really good.
Yeah.
And so we started praying, and everything just seemed to fall into place, and we packed up our 3 kids and came to Portland in 1967. And I went to work right away at helped build San Barlo High School, Aloha High School, and a lot of the other major commercial jobs.
Well, it's still standing, so you did a good job.
It is. It's standing, but it's amazing. The company that I worked for wasn't that, from my point of view.
Right.
I enjoyed the work, and I didn't like the winters because in California, when it starts sprinkling,
They've never heard of winter.
That's right.
What is winter? Like, I got to throw a sweatshirt on. Like, this is so annoying.
Yeah, January, you're in a t-shirt.
I got to wear a long sleeve shirt. Come on.
But anyway, things just kept going.
Yeah.
In our favor, and
well, 64 years is the longest that I've met so far. How do you guys have any advice, or?
Well, we have a strong faith. That's one of the major things. We have a strong faith in the Lord, and if we put those principles in place and honor them and do our best to execute them, then I feel like there is great success.
What about you, Bev? Is the faith thing, can you talk about how that has given you strength or helped you over the years? Or?
I agree with him. It is it's the only thing you can turn to sometimes is the Lord.
There it is.
There it is, the secret. Yeah, as much as, and sometimes people feel awkward, like, doing interviews or whatever, but like, I love just talking to ordinary people sometimes as well. It's really, really special to me.
Yeah.
So, and I think that all of them that were willing to do it, of the like hundreds of people that were there, I got 6, but I think all of them enjoyed it and saw that it was not so scary and just talking.
Just talking.
Yeah. So it was fun.
Do you run into that a lot in other places as well? Like, do you have to kind of settle people down in order to do an interview?
It depends. So it depends on if it's like someone who's like a politician or, has some background, or some expectation that people will be looking more closely at what they say.
Right.
And then it's also a personality thing.
Sure.
So there's some people, we live in a culture really where you either are recording yourself or being recorded a lot of the time.
I don't know what that's
about. Just on social media, so people that are more accustomed to that are like usually more comfortable with themselves and willing to, they're just like whatever. And then there are people that just personality-wise are more trusting of you, or people that are less trusting, I guess I should say. So it does. I don't think it happens a lot. I guess I have a trustworthy face, or maybe people just don't care as much. Well, on our next episode, our next clip, I should say, it was episode 33. When we finally got to the chance to sit down with someone who is actually, I think, maybe the first person I ever reached out to for an interview. Right. And it just took forever to schedule. So, like, when I was thinking about starting this podcast thing, I was reaching out to a few people to try to line things up. It took 33 episodes. That's like 4 months.
Yeah, pretty much.
Her name's Tiffany Stafford. She's a local mom and advocate for children with Down syndrome and their parents. Her daughter, whose name is Ellie, has Down syndrome and is a social media star, speaking of social media, and also a model. So she's done a ton of modeling work. Ellie and Tiffany were actually in a long-running ad campaign this year for Fred Meyer.
Yeah?
They were like in ad inserts.
Nice.
Yeah, like photograph them around the kitchen, like cooking and stuff like that, and then they like sell KitchenAid mixers or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Shoes.
Yeah, right. Like aprons. But back in March, her Ellie met my daughter Ellie, and they were instantly best friends, though the love didn't last for long, as we'll see in these clips.
Guys?
Hi.
Hi. This is my brother Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
Say hi, Ellie. Hello. Hello.
So, Ellie,
what?
This is also Ellie. You're both named Ellie. What do you think of that?
Good.
Yeah?
Say hi.
Oh, they're holding hands already. So sweet.
She's been very excited.
Yeah, so is mine.
What's her name?
Ellie.
Yeah. Oh, they're hugging. Oh my gosh. What do you think of that, Ellie? Ellie, tell Ellie that you've seen her pictures and her videos.
I saw your pictures in your videos.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah? You think it's cool that you guys have the same name?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Can you ask Ellie how old she is?
You're so cool.
Say, how old are you?
How old are you? Boy.
Where are you girls going?
You
want to go upstairs?
Okay, well, you girls have fun. Yeah, it was very, very helpful, and it talks about DNA as the strings.
Yeah.
So, my daughter, with the first night that we read the book, we talked about Ellie. I showed her some pictures and some video from your Instagram, and she was talking about, Ellie, that she thinks she's so cool and so pretty, and, was really excited to meet her. I didn't tell her her name, because I thought that would be cool to tell her the day of, that they have the same name. But so we did the story, and then later she was going to bed, and she's like, "Dad, how many strings does she have?" So, like, she remembered, she made that connection, but she didn't remember the number. So I told her, "Oh, your new friend, she has 47 strings," and she says, "Wow, she must really like strings, huh?"
That is so cute. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, like I guess so, because that's more than we have. So.
Yeah.
One
That's
extra
so
string.
cute.
There's another thing she said, over the weeks, like as we were rereading the story and stuff, she said, "I have Down syndrome" to herself. She said, "I have Down syndrome, but I don't have 47 strings." That's Ellie talking about herself.
Cute.
Yeah, so like not quite getting it yet.
And there it is.
Hopefully everything's
Seriously.
okay up there. She did ask, she did say, like I said, several times, she's so pretty, but she would ask, why is her face like that?
Mm-hmm.
So because you would kind of coach me through that, or able to talk just about differences, and I felt a lot more comfortable sort of having clearance to answer that question.
Absolutely.
And not to say, don't ask that, or that's a bad question, which I might have done otherwise.
Yeah.
And then your Ellie loves to sing, so we found some videos of her singing.
Nice.
And the last thing that Ellie said was, "I like to sing too, but I'm not good at singing with Down syndrome." So I don't know what that means.
I love it. Your Ellie is so cute.
Yeah, super cute.
I love what kids say.
Oh my
Not when they do that.
No, that's no fun. I always, if there's not a follow-up scream, I assume it's okay.
Yeah,
so if
or a bang or something.
Right, if there's just one kid screaming,
we're
then
good.
that's fine.
This is just the soundtrack of our life right
yes.
now.
Yeah, it has been interesting doing this side gig with very small children at times. So
yeah, especially when they're running over the top of me while I'm trying to record down below.
Right. Well, now you have a studio. So
oh man,
enough with the complaining. So you just have to live with it.
Yeah. Now it's just every other part of my life.
But yeah, that was cool. And the meeting again, like it's just something that you had to see, but it was super cute. Like they instantly started like holding hands and hugging, and then later screaming. But that's kids. So, all right. Well, we may be a small podcast, but we've actually had some pretty impressive guests throughout the course of the past year. None bigger than this next one, Santa Claus himself. Ooh. Our friend Ed Grotsky, of course, is known as Canby Santa. He's well known for playing the role in the Light Up the Night Parade for the past many years, and just many, many other events throughout the holiday season. Back in January, he spoke to us for a few minutes in character. This was fun, and told us all about his plans for the off-season and if he'll ever retire.
Ready for vacation? We're after Christmas.
We are ready for vacation.
What does Santa do on the off season? You get a little bit of playtime before you have to start ramping up.
Yes, I do absolutely nothing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
nothing.
You headed down to Fiji or Hawaii, something like that.
Those two. It depends on the moods of the reindeer.
How long? Because it's their off season too.
Yes, they're off season, so they get to go play as well.
Yeah, for sure. So Santa, you kind of have a reputation as being a jolly sort of fellow.
I hope so.
You know,
I try to be.
But does it ever get frustrating, especially nowadays, with all of these parents trying to claim credit for the gifts that you give? They say, "Oh, they're from them." Mm-hmm. You know, Santa's not real. Does that? How do you deal with that?
Do you believe in Christmas?
I do.
Okay. Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Of course. I'm sitting here talking to you.
Okay. That's all there is to it. I don't have to deal with the parents because the children know better. Mm-hmm. You know, the children know better.
Yeah. So how are the reindeer?
The reindeer are fine. Thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Claus is back there right now, taking care of them, making sure the elves are doing the things they have to do before she and I take off on our little jaunt and a little vacation. Mm-hmm. They get the run of the entire facility while we're gone. So.
Oh, okay. The elves do.
The elves do.
You ever come back and they mess something up, or are they pretty well behaved?
They're not until about 2 days before we come back. Okay. Then they become well behaved and very organized. They're as organized as they are the night before Christmas. It's like one of those teen
movies. They run around, they're cleaning up with the black trash bags, clean up the party.
Do it all. Yeah. You know, sweeping things under the rug, out the windows.
Okay. They've got the reindeer like hanging out of the second story window. Have you ever been on a podcast before? Or
no, I haven't.
You've obviously done a lot of TV work.
Well, it comes with when I get spotted, things of that nature.
Sure.
But never on a podcast before. I've never been asked any seriously personal questions about the cities that I go to and the people that I see.
Yeah.
And everybody always wonders. And if I start talking about it, sometimes they think I'm just making this stuff up.
Right.
But you can't. Santa Claus can't make anything up because the things that happens with Santa Claus and to Santa Claus and because of Santa Claus are just totally amazing.
Would you like to be asked personal questions about cities that you go to? Canby is probably your favorite city out of all the cities.
Canby is my favorite city out of all of them.
That's what I would have guessed.
There's no other city in the world like Canby, Oregon.
I agree with that. I'm not Santa, but I would guess that that's true.
That is very true. That is very true.
Do you ever get tired, Santa? You've been doing this for a long time.
No, I never get tired because it is something that I do. It's something that has to be done.
It's kind of who you are at this point.
It's who I am. It's what I do.
It'd be hard to find another job, probably.
I wouldn't want another job. Once you're Santa Claus, there's nothing else you want to be.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, the unemployment would probably be just astronomical.
What is that?
Benefits.
Oh, Santa.
Good old Santa Claus.
Yeah, he is a great Santa, though. I mean, people say that, and I think that this is fair to say. We only, at this point in the episode, we only have the true fans. So I think it's okay to say this amongst friends that sometimes you'll see people say oh, the Canby blank is the best blank, whatever, and you're like,
It's
Sure.
one of many.
Sure. Yeah, the Canby McDonald's is the best McDonald's. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. But he is an amazing Santa Claus. Like, when people say that we have the best Santa, I think it's true. So. All right, well, we are going to take another quick break to hear from a couple more of our sponsors, and we'll come back.
Only if, you're
Unless
not
you're a Patreon, and then you're just going to be right back with us.
Jump right in. Yeah. Just saying, we got that there.
And then we'll be back with the best of Police Speed.
Yeah.
Hey Tyler, did you know that the world has changed in the past 20 years?
No way!
Yep, it's true. The way people shop for goods and services has completely changed since this thing called the internet started catching on.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And yet some realtors still offer the same old services in the same old ways and for the same old percentages. Victory Point Property Group in Canby believes it's time the real estate business caught up with the times. They'll meet with you for free, explain every step of the process, give you a clear game plan, and even let you choose the listing commission.
Really? They let you choose their commission?
Really, Victory Point Property Group understands this is one of the biggest and most exciting decisions of your life, and they'll do everything they can to make sure you handle it like a rock star.
Wow, that sounds great. I'm going to check them out by calling 503-263-4700 or by visiting online at victorypointhomes.com.
You do that. Victory Point Property Group, real estate reimagined. You know, Halloween will be here before you know it. Heck, the decorations are already in the stores. So I've got a scary good deal for you. DirectLink is offering 50% off their blazing fast internet speeds now through All Hallows Eve. Not only will you get a sweet candy corn of a deal, but every one of their broadband connections comes with unlimited data, free, and that's no trick. So switch to DirectLink to stream and surf as much as you like. Plus, take advantage of free Wi-Fi home networking for 6 months with free installation of commercial-grade Wi-Fi equipment that ensures your entire home has the strongest, most consistent signal in every room. Talk about a treat. Call 503-266-8111 or visit directlink.coop for blazing fast internet.
And we're back. Okay, well, one of our favorite segments here, and Tyler, this is something that you've taken on and just kind of owned, is our police speed.
I think it's, first of all, it's like almost no real work.
Okay.
I literally
if you just want to own up to that,
of course. I'm not going to lie to people. It's the truth. All I do is get a police report, and then I read it.
You just riff on it. It's pretty funny.
I do, and I mean it's fun, and like the thing about it though that gets to me is like I'll constantly be driving around and like worried I'm gonna break the law somehow.
Oh, and wind up
as the person.
Oh,
on
they haven't
police
done
beat.
names for like months. So.
Sure, but it's still like when like a Canby cop pulls me over, I'm gonna be like, you know who reads your reports, right? Me.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to help you, but I mean, try it.
For sure.
It's not going to hurt.
Do you know who you're talking to?
I know a police officer loves hearing that.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
Well, this segment, I'm just going to admit, is like the one I've spent the least amount of time on the show. I just went through from memory, kind of went through all the different ones I could find and picked out some ones that stood out to us. So
how are we going to do, I'll read one, you read one?
Yeah, let's just kind of look through ones that stand out to us, maybe.
Oh, so we're not going to read all of these?
I don't know. There's
That's probably
lot.
Good. It's 4 pages of them.
There's a lot of them, yeah.
So,
why don't you take the first one?
So, February 26th at 5:14 p.m., officers stopped a vehicle being driven by an unlicensed driver on Southeast 4th Avenue. The passenger was the vehicle's registered owner and had a valid license to drive. When asked why she allowed an unlicensed driver to drive her vehicle, she admitted recent intravenous thank you drug use. And I mean, to be fair, that's a pretty good reason to not drive.
Maybe find someone with a license next time.
Officers subsequently seized methamphetamine and heroin from inside the vehicle with hypodermic needles. Which, if people are regular listeners to our show and to Police Beat, they'll know that the number one thing that always follows a DUI is
drugs in the car.
Is methamphetamines in the car.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising how much is
out there. I hardly ever carry my meth around me.
Like, why have it on you?
I know. When you're gonna be breaking the law.
We're acting like we actually have meth. I've never
seen it. I don't
meth
even
in my
know
entire
what.
life.
Somebody could show me a meth. And
Somebody
I'd be
once said that person's high on meth, and I was like, literally would have never noticed.
Yeah.
Not even someone who's on it.
Yeah, you could show me a meth, and I wouldn't know it from, a non-meth. So, this is going on February 27th at 9:31. I don't know if we need to do the times. Anyway, so the officers witnessed a car recklessly turn a corner and attempted to conduct a traffic stop. The speeding vehicle then failed to stop, and so they pursued it, which concluded when the suspect driver lost control of his vehicle. After being arrested, the driver stated that he was just testing out the car's engine. I can't believe that didn't work, right?
Right, yeah.
The officer was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. Get on your way." So, yeah, that was a good one. So, nice try. I mean, points for effort on that one, right? Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. On March 31st, police received a report of, quote, heated verbal exchange that occurred on Southwest 1st Avenue. A man reportedly brandished a knife and then left the scene on a bicycle.
I just love the visual.
Yeah, I'm like, don't
Get
mess
out of
with
my
me,
face.
man.
Like,
and then,
I got a
gets
knife.
on a bike. He's like, I'm out of here. Like, for some reason, obviously, it's a tricycle.
I imagine it like, did you ever see the movie Friday?
No, I never saw it.
Okay, so I'm a little bit older than you, I guess.
Like a
it was
year,
like
whatever.
like a high school movie for me. But the villain in that movie is like the neighborhood bully,
Right.
And he's this huge African American guy, and he rides around on a tiny bicycle,
Right.
Yeah, and is very like this like weird juxtaposition of like this huge guy and like this tiny bicycle where his knees are like, and that's what it reminds me of, is like that. Okay, I'm so glad I get to read this one. This is one of my favorites. This happened back on April 20th. There was a driver. They were stopped on suspicion of drunk driving. She stated that she thought she was safe to drive because she was only going a few blocks. Then she just threw up right in front of the officers. Several times. And the report says that. Like, it's like she threw up, period.
Yeah.
Several times. Paramedics were called to evaluate her, and they were just making sure she was okay, not sick. She was only just really drunk. So she was arrested for DUI and transported to the Clackamas County Jail. So that's a rough night for her. I hope things went up from April 20th for her.
The 13th and the 17th are two. May 13th and 17th are two pretty good ones.
Yeah.
13th, police responded to a report of a single vehicle crash on North 37th Avenue near Canby Ferry. The driver was located in his vehicle, which he had left the road to come to a stop partially down a hill. The driver, who advised the officers that he had consumed a lot, he told them, listen, officers, I have drank so much alcohol, but it was only after I crashed my car. I did not drink and drive down a hill. I was very upset, and then I drank it.
I mean, you can understand being upset after crashing his car. He had to console himself.
While he's waiting for the officers to arrive.
Right.
Man, yeah.
Do you want to do the 17th as well?
Sure.
Yeah. This is one of my favorites.
An officer was conducting a traffic stop on North Elm when an unrelated vehicle and driver stopped at the scene for just a little chat. The officer evidently smelled alcohol on the unrelated driver's breath and arrested him for driving under the influence. And, I mean, you had a free pass.
I know.
You could have just driven by that cop drunk. He's already doing something with somebody else.
As somebody else stopped. And the guy comes up. It's like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm just doing a real good job. Nothing's going to get by you.
Good job, officer.
Oh, man.
Okay, so on May 27th at 11:46, officers responded to a possible burglary at a tire shop on Southwest 1st Avenue. Can't imagine what that would be, which was closed at the time because it was right before midnight. Mm-hmm. They found a woman who was walking through the parking lot with a flashlight, and she did admit that she was taking tires, but she said she had permission to do it. Oh no, it's totally.
No, it's okay.
I know the manager, John. He told me to come by, around midnight with a flashlight and just get what I wanted. It's totally cool. But anyway, she did agree to leave the premises without taking anything. So
yeah, lots of people stealing stuff, selling methamphetamine. Let's see.
There were a lot of like attempted scams with gift cards.
Yeah, that
in our
happened
police
quite a
beats.
bit.
Yeah.
There was the June 18th. Defecating.
You gonna revisit
Police
this
made
one?
contact with a couple who were consuming alcohol in the parking lot of a store on Southeast First Avenue. They were cited for drinking in a public place. And I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was the only thing that I recall. So on June 19th, there was...
No, there's more because she was pooping outside of the store.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. She was literally taking a dump, doing a dookie.
Yeah.
Making a movement.
Yeah.
Right there.
Dropping some kids off at the store.
At the store. Taking the Browns to the park outside the store.
Yeah.
Super gross.
Yeah. We actually did a larger story on that as well, just because it's like, it was one of those things that like, it was funny, but it was also like, this kind of stuff does not need to happen in our town. Like, we wanted more visibility on it. On June 19th, this was a serious crime. So officers were dispatched to report of a suspicious person. Again, this is serious. Dancing around a parked vehicle on South Elm. This is the Footloose town, right?
Yeah.
We don't allow dancing around.
We don't do dancing in this town.
Who's so suspicious about just dancing around a car? I don't know. Maybe
do not dance.
Maybe
in
he just
my town.
got engaged, or he won the lottery. I
So
don't know.
excited to
Yeah.
dance.
So he saw the officers. He entered the vehicle and attempted to drive away. Of course, he was arrested for driving under the influence of intoxicants, possession and distribution of
methamphetamines,
possession of heroin as well, and felon in possession of a restricted.
You ever seen the show Reno 911?
Oh yeah.
I think we could do a Canby version of that.
It can be 911.
Yeah, or it can be non-emergency. So I'm going to jump down all the way to October 16th. I think this is probably the last really, really good one, I guess.
Okay.
Because an individual walked into the Canby Police Department, took property from the lobby, and left, which is not a good idea because they have surveillance. They are cops.
Yeah.
The suspect was interviewed at their home and later transported to a medical facility for mental health evaluation.
Yeah. And you know what I did that was stupid? When I got into this document just now, before we started reading, I was like, oh shoot, that's not in chronological order, so I moved all the October ones to the end. But
Right.
they were in chronological order.
They were,
Because
yeah.
that was October of 2018, so sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to steal something, maybe don't...
steal from the cops.
Probably not the best target there.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
We love Police Beat, don't we?
I really like doing it. It lets me kind of be sarcastic a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, crime is serious, but also
But criminals are also dumb. I'm just going to say it. Like,
A
do I
little
need
bit.
to be politically correct somehow and say criminals aren't dumb?
With the criminals. I think that, I don't know. To me, it's just like, you can take almost any life thing one of two ways. Like, you can like over serious, make it over serious, or you can like be too funny with it.
Yeah.
But like, you don't want to ignore it. Like, crime is a part of life. Like, these police beats come to us,
Yeah.
And I think adding a little levity to it makes it good. When it's something that is really serious.
If
like
it's something really serious, I never make fun of
I'm
it.
not gonna
Like,
do-
I've specifically read stuff where it's like, where when you were writing them, you would maybe write, like, maybe put a joke here.
Yeah.
And there was a couple where you'd be like, maybe we make fun of this. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But anytime
glad I don't have
somebody's
to write
dumb
them
enough
anymore.
to get caught driving without a license and with heroin and methamphetamine in their possession, it's like you're building a Tetris wall to fall on top of you.
Yeah.
I meant Jenga. not Tetris.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were doing there, but I'm teeing up our next clip.
Got it.
We're going to take you back to an interview that was momentous, not just because it was a very special guest, but also because the first time many people realized that the Gaming Out podcast was more than one person. Our own Tyler Clausen joined me for the Canby conversation on way back on episode 22, as we got to hang out with local actor Embry Johnson, who at that time had appeared in major roles in 2 independent films.
Yep.
His favorite was the second one.
Yep.
And he'll explain why. What's next for you? You have another project coming down the pike, right?
Yeah, Thunderbolt in Mine Eye. And
you play a very different character this time?
Very different.
Yeah. Tell us about him.
He's like a bully character, and I swear on that movie. And they
Gosh, darn it.
Dang it.
Turn it back.
Yeah, that's
Phooey.
Fun, maybe?
Yeah, it was very different.
Yeah.
And your mom was telling us that you smoked the whole house out with oregano.
Yes.
And that's got to smell bad.
Oh yeah, it smelled terrible.
What was it like having to
oregano smells good
to smoke oregano? Was it like, did you actually inhale oregano smoke?
I think so. But my throat was burning, and we had this one scene where it was like one of the only smoking scenes I had, or like the main smoking scene I had. And we were filming
30 takes.
Yeah, we were filming for like 3 hours down this basement. So like the entire basement was all smoky and it smelled terrible. My throat was burning.
Your eyes were like realistically red at that point.
It smelled like
just from the oregano.
An Italian plumber's basement.
Yeah.
It probably sounded like Mario through all the takes. That's the good weed. That was a terrible Mario impression, by the way.
Are there any ways that you feel like your work in acting has kind of helped you in life at all? I mean, are there any lessons that you feel like you take away from that?
Definitely, just from like even watching like interviews of other actors, like who are in Hollywood and stuff. Like it's just there's a lot of like advice, like life advice, and it still really taught me that like my feelings and stuff.
Yeah,
I've gotten better like managing them, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
it's weird, but yeah, and
kind of helped you in your maturing process a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, if you could play any role right now, what would be your dream role to take on?
Captain America.
I knew you were going to say that.
Were you not asking me? Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't really have like a dream. There's no rules that really stand out to me. That
between the two that you've done in the feature films, which one do you feel like you sort of enjoyed and would like to do more of? Because they're so different. What ballpark would you rather be in?
Definitely the Thunderbolt one.
Yeah. Okay. A little more fun to do that rather than the kind of more victim sort of character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and all the oregano is fun, I guess. So what was that experience like? You getting to jump on an interview like that with the master interviewer?
With the master interviewer, it was pretty awesome.
We filmed that at CTV.
Not only because we did that, but we filmed it, so that was fun. And I got to meet probably the coolest kid in the world.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah,
even though he didn't want to be Captain America, I don't know.
But he's chill, and
what that
it was the first time like. I was nervous because I'm like, this kid has literally been in movies. Like, he's a child actor. He's doing it.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, so we're a little nervous, and he's like, oh, I'm super nervous.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, I'm just a dude who sits in a basement all the time. Like, you don't need to be nervous. What are you nervous about?
Yeah. So that was back when that first movie, Prodigy, was coming out back in December, and we watched it to prepare for that interview and got to talk to him. It's kind of like surreal, seeing this movie that was just debuting, and then we get to talk to the kid.
Yeah.
So this was a really cool story. Going even farther back, we heard from a friend of mine. His name is Rick Carpenter. He and most of his brothers and sisters were separated through the foster care system when they were kids, and they grew up in different
places all across the country.
Yeah.
Once they became adults, they managed to start to find each other again and reconnect, except for one, their little sister, whose name was Debbie. Back in episode 18, Rick told us the story of how he and his siblings found her after over 40 years of separation, thanks to a DNA match through Ancestry.com.
And that got my current wife, Victoria, to thinking, well, we need to do that too, but she's a research addict.
Yeah.
She says Ancestry.com has got a huge database that they got more to look for.
Yeah.
So, and hey, it was half off, so we were able to get two for the price of one. And so we did it, and during the DNA testing, I got the final results, and when I opened it up, it said high confidence of a sibling, and her name was Debbie. Middle name was probably her adopted name.
When was this?
A month ago, not even a month ago.
Yeah, this just happened.
Yes, and so I immediately got goosebumps. I'm telling you, just felt the joy in me. He says, I think I found my sister, and I called my brother, and he says, are you 100% on this? Are you sure? I said, I think so. I sent Debbie a message through Ancestry.com, and it took what felt like years.
What did you put into that?
The message? I said, I think you're my sister. My sister was removed from the home at a very young age, but according to this Ancestry kit, I think you're my sister.
Right. You didn't start with this is not a prank?
No, I did not. I did not, because it would be an Ancestry. Right. Well, and again, it took
a long time.
It felt like every day felt like a month, but it might have been a full month, so that just felt like a lifetime waiting for a response. And then one day I got an email from Ancestry.com, and it was her responding. And it was the response. My name is Rick, but as a child, my name was Ricky. And it started off with, hi, Ricky.
Oh, wow.
I burst into tears.
Yeah.
I'm almost there right now.
Yeah.
It was just so cool.
That's amazing.
That came about like that. Yeah. So I immediately responded to that email saying, oh my Lord. And I gave my phone number, please call me and send. And then I called my wife to tell her. So she's at work and at her office, and she's crying, and people want to know. And so she's sharing her joyful story of mine, because she feels my stuff as well. And so it was really cool. And I called Susie, and Susie said it 3 times. What? Say that again. What? And I would tell her, I found Debbie. And it felt like hours and hours, and probably was only 20 minutes to where the phone rang. And her daughter, Blair, is helping with the call, because 15 years prior, Debbie had a stroke. And so her brain is 100%, but the words from her brain to the mouth come out mixed up, and so she had a very difficult time. But we could feel the happiness, we could feel the joy. It was wonderful. And
that's so cool. And it was just in that moment of reading those first 2 words that you knew.
I knew it. Hi, Ricky. I knew it right then.
That is so cool. Yeah, and again, just the stories that ordinary people have. It's really cool to me.
That's nuts. That feeling, like you feel that with him when he's explaining
the emotion,
the hi Ricky moment. Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we, like, both of us, neither of us have even been alive 40 years.
Right.
And they, like, have been separated from their sister for that long. And for a large chunk of that, trying to find her. You know? And, I mean, like, there are a lot of people that can be down on technology, they can be down on the internet, you know, and I think a lot of times for a good reason, but it can make amazing things like that happen as well, to reconnect people. That never would have happened without the internet and without the technology that comes from cheap and easy DNA testing now. So, well, Tyler, you probably knew this one was going to come up. Way back in October,
because I was looking at the
run sheet. Way back in October, I set Tyler down for a very serious talk about his addiction to not voting. That's right. It was an intervention. It was a very difficult, obviously emotionally trying conversation.
I don't think I slept more than the night after that.
I know. I mean,
was so worn out after that.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't think I slept for like a week before. I was so nervous.
So nervous.
But as you can probably imagine, I did what many victims do in an intervention. I
lashed out.
No, I put my thoughts down in the form of a letter. Okay, I would just ask you to listen to this and not interrupt me. Okay, so I can get through. Dear Tyler, I know we haven't been talking much lately.
We talk
and we haven't. What did I just say? Sorry. And we haven't sat down together in a really long time. But I love you dearly, and I'm happy we are here together today.
Okay.
You have played such a huge role in my life. I have so many memories of spending time with you. Remember when you taught me how to swim? Yeah, what?
I never taught you how to swim.
Will you let me swim? I was really afraid, and you told me to pretend that I was a dog and do the doggy paddle. You know how much I love dogs. I often think about what you said to me when I was having trouble in my new school in the 7th grade, and you dropped me off.
Frankie, you're from the other side of the country. I didn't know you in 7th grade.
Let me finish my letter.
Okay.
You reminded me that it's more important to be myself than to lie, just so people would like me. That helped me get through a tough situation. I couldn't have done it without you. I trusted you to help me, Dad.
Where did you get this letter?
I found it online. It's a template. Shut up.
No, okay, but I'm not your dad.
I know that you are not planning to vote in the current election.
Is that the only thing you... Wait, is this a template with that, or did you change that in this template?
I know that not voting is addictive if you drink too much of it. And you have been drinking too much for a long time now.
Right.
I don't know if your doctor explained it to you, but addiction is a disease. Your body is used to the not voting.
Not voting?
Now, and it always wants it. People who work in addiction say it would be really hard for you to stop on your own. I read about how an addiction to not voting makes people feel and look, and I've seen you that way so many times.
Did you just replace the word alcohol with not voting? Is that the only work you did in this?
Last month when I came home, you were standing in the kitchen acting dizzy, like you were going to pass out. You were just rocking back and forth and didn't respond when I talked to you.
Obviously, too much not voting.
I was so worried. I really don't want you to have to go to the emergency room again, like last year. I love you so much. When you don't vote, it really hurts me. I know that you would be worried about me if I had a disease because you love me too. I'm not the only one who loves you. We all do. That's why we want you to get help. It's hard for me to say this next part, but I have to, for you and for myself. If you don't vote today, I am not going to protect your not voting addiction anymore. I won't tell lies to people for you anymore, Dad. Who always told me never to lie. Right. If your boss calls and asks why you aren't voting, I'm going to tell the truth.
You're going to tell them?
Ask me what's wrong with you, I'm going to tell them the truth. If my teachers ask me what's upsetting me, I'm going to tell them the truth.
That I'm not voting.
It doesn't have to be this way. You can get help. This disease is 100% treatable. Will you accept our offer and go vote today? With all my love, name. I mean Frankie.
Yeah.
Frankie. I forgot to change.
I feel like for being as sincere as you were being, there was not a lot of work done in the reconstruction of that template.
So that didn't change your mind, that letter I just read?
I mean, it feels a little contrived.
That letter came from the heart.
It feels like it just
from
came from the internet.
It came from both. That's one of my favorite moments, man.
You did a good job on that one. That was a good bit.
Yeah.
I'm always down for a good bit.
Yeah, I don't always have good ideas for a bit, but that one turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
It's and you voted. You actually did vote. Right?
No, I didn't.
You didn't vote?
No, I filled everything out.
What?
You've already known this. I already told you this.
I must have forgotten.
Yeah, because it's so atrocious to you. So,
yeah, I blocked it out. I blocked that memory out, too.
So I filled everything out.
Yeah, I saw you do it.
Yeah, we did it on that episode.
Yeah.
And then I put it in my car.
Uh-huh.
And then I had to work a lot, and I forgot to do it. Because I wasn't in my head.
So you still have never voted?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to have another intervention.
I think I voted once, but it was like one of those small votes, like the things that don't... like.
This next election is going to be a doozy.
It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, It was, the problem wasn't that I didn't want to vote or that I was even too lazy to vote. It was just the mentality, like, I've never voted before. I didn't pay attention to when I needed to vote.
Yeah.
Right? So I just had it in my car ready to go and drop it off, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I even asked, I'm so bad at those dates, dude. I saw,
it's always a Tuesday. It's always the first Tuesday in November.
But I saw Art Marine really randomly at a place like the day after they announced
for the local elections. Yeah, this was last May.
Right.
Yeah.
And I saw him, and I was like, "Yeah, man, how's it going? And like, are you excited for the thing?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's already over. I already lost." I was like, "Oh, I feel so bad."
It
was like that day. It was like the day before.
Dig the knife in. Good job.
Yeah, I really did. I felt so bad. So I'm really bad at that stuff.
Well, you have lots of other chances.
Yeah.
The bad news for you is I know a lot more people in town now for a lot bigger intervention.
You're going to make it a bigger deal this time?
It's going to be a real doozy this time around.
Man,
yeah.
this is going to be fun.
I don't...
We might have to do a live event.
I don't know. I don't envy you at all. So. All right. In episode 8, this was... I remember... This is memorable to me, like, looking back. Because this was in the period when every single email I sent, like, asking people for...
desperation?
No, well, ouch.
Please come on my show.
Ouch. No, but it just had, like, long, like, probably, like, 1 or 2 decent-sized paragraphs explaining, like, what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
Because, so episode 8, we had a podcast at that point, but it still was, like, a little bit of a...
At this point, we were so excited when 50 people listened to our show.
Yeah.
We were genuinely excited.
Oh, yeah. That would have been... So our first episode, there was kind of some excitement around... I think our first episode was over 100, like, that first day. But we didn't hit that mark again for a while. Yeah. So, but anyway, now we're like over 400, like, consistently. But,
I can look it up.
Yeah. Why don't you do that while I'm just completely not reading and just riffing on this next bit? So back when every email I sent had to have that long introduction, like I said, we sat down with a legend of the Portland hip-hop scene. His name is Mike Crenshaw. At the time, he was fresh off his own interview project, which was a Clackamas County-based storytelling exercise called the Ask the Question Project, where it was kind of a crazy project. He interviewed the survivors of at least one suicide attempt. In our interview, he shared what the experience was like and what his main takeaway was.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your intentions were? What was your goal for this project?
I just wanted to we wanted to hear people's intimate stories. We wanted to hear...
and share them.
Yeah, the authentic voice of people who had wanted to in their own lives. And in the hopes that their stories would be helpful to others. The ultimate, outcome was that there were all these interviews put on a website, made available to the public. So the potential for, thousands of people or more to see and listen to the stories of these brave, courageous folks.
Sure.
Is now available. And then there are a number of different installations where photographs of the interviewees and sometimes they're people of support.
Yeah.
Are up in public for people to be able to see.
Yeah, they do the exhibits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, wow, I feel like you can't participate in a project like this where, like you shared, people sharing their most intimate moments, oftentimes very dark moments that they went through. It's sometimes a lot longer than a moment, long periods in their lives, without it affecting you personally. So I wanted to ask, how are you impacted by your work in this project?
I reflected on my own life and my own struggles.
Sure.
And
it brought you back to that. Yeah.
Yeah, there have been times in my life where I felt like suicide was an alternative or a solution to end suffering that I was going through, and to hear other people's stories.
Yeah,
it has a very humbling and humanizing effect because it allows me to realize, and allows, I imagine, others to realize the somewhat universal nature of suffering in our existence and how we as individuals can experience it. Some of these folks that we talk to, they stayed in those places for years upon years, sometimes for decades, and the experiences that people go through that makes them think that they would be better off dead it's an eye-opening thing. Sometimes people are going through something that you would never imagine just by looking at them, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything, Mike, as we close up here, that anything that is sort of an overall takeaway that you would have when you think back to this project, something that you feel like you'll never forget, a moment that you could share?
There's a lot of... Each story was profound.
Sure.
You know, I walked away... I walked into this project meeting a stranger every time I sat down to interview somebody, and I walked away with a great deal of respect for whoever that person's story was. And again, it was humbling, and something that people said on a number of occasions in regard to a specific question, and the question was, is there anything you would tell people who have completed suicide, who've actually killed themselves?
What a question. Oh my gosh.
So the answer that they said on more than one occasion was, things get better. To don't give up. You just gotta hang in there. You gotta keep going, and things will get better. And so that's something that I actually, I don't think much about killing myself as I have in the past, but I do struggle sometimes with things that are difficult in life, and so I reflect on that. I reflect on the people who told me that when they talked about what's helped them make it through.
Yeah, there's a lot of courage to talk about that kind of stuff and share his own experience, but also dive into other people's in the way that he did, and especially for the folks that were part of that project. So that's the Ask the Question project. You can look it up, Google it. I don't know the exact website, but Ask the Question project, Clackamas County will get you there. So you can hear some of those stories, and just looking back on that, I also kind of realized how little we knew what we were doing back there. I kept having that weird feedback thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
It took us so long to figure out what was causing that. It was just a cell phone.
Yeah.
And you had spliced in some clips there that I took out. That's when that music started to come. I saw your face. It was weird. So you have some stats?
Oh, we'll talk about it after. We have one more clip, right?
Okay, you want to do the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk. We can nerd out about some of our stats after all that.
Okay. I can't wait to nerd out about stats. But for our last clip, we go back to the very, very beginning. Episode 1, September 24th, 2018. We interviewed a friend of ours, Micah Ridmark, because I wasn't sure anybody else would agree to talk to me for a podcast that did not exist. Micah talked to us about the job he had at the time as the director of the Reality Project, where he would go to different high schools, including Canby, on several occasions, to talk with kids about making healthy choices about sex and relationships. On reflection, it was definitely an interesting subject to start out with. As even Micah
we really
himself.
Jumped into the deep end with that.
We did. It was very interesting to do that one.
You can't say that the Canby Now podcast is afraid of anything.
How does it feel to be the first guest ever on the Canby Now podcast?
Well, I was already nervous, even though I talk about sex for a living in high schools.
But not with an old person like me. It's usually with...
exactly. So I'm nervous. I feel like I have to, if this is the first episode, I have to, set
It's got to be the best. Yeah.
It's got to be the best.
Tons of pressure.
You took a risk having me on because we're talking about sex on the first episode.
I wanted to set the precedent for us too, so...
Yeah, that's good.
So, Micah, my first question is, why are you trying to corrupt our young people with all this talk about sex?
Well,
really jumping.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's interesting because there are some people who might hear about what I do and ask the question of, well, why? Why are you talking about
I think sometimes there's that was just a joke, but I think sometimes there is that thinking that, that bringing up the subject is like the first time, kids are hearing about sex or whatnot is when they hear about it from adult, which of course is not true. But
exactly, we have this idea that if we talk about it, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that, and all studies back this up, is that when talking about these kinds of things like sex and relationships, talking about how to make healthy decisions when it comes to these areas of our life, that we actually find that the more you talk about it, the more equipped young people feel, more open they can feel about the genuine questions they have about these things. It doesn't have to be awkward. It doesn't have to be taboo. That sex and relationships are something that are on their minds on a regular basis, and that's not a bad thing. That's a normal thing. You and I were the same way when we were in high school. And these are two valuable things. Why don't we talk about it more with them? Especially when everything around them in entertainment and culture is talking about it, we need to be also a voice in helping them formulate how do I make healthy decisions regarding these things.
That was it.
That was how it all started.
Yeah.
It holds up pretty well, I think. I mean, not that bad. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you guys.
No,
but that
go
part,
back and listen to it.
That part was okay.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll finish out this episode, talk about some random stuff, right?
I guess.
Right? That's what's on the list.
Well, I guess that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
So I'm here with Derek Hill, president of Advantage Mortgage in Canby. I was wondering what's going on in the mortgage industry right now.
The mortgage industry is on fire right now. The big thing that's really exciting for us is that we are now an independent mortgage broker, which means that we can offer substantially lower rates and lower fees for our customers. For example, we just got a loan last week, and the realtor said, hey, I think you should go talk to Derek at Advantage Mortgage. And sure enough, we got the borrower 3/4 better rate, and we saved him $14,000 in fees.
Cool. So where can people find you?
So office number is 503-266-5800, or they can find us on the web at findtheadvantage.com. But most people just give us a holler or they stop in.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Derek.
You bet. Advantage Mortgage, NMLS number 1770599. Derek Hill's NMLS number 50183. Equal housing opportunity.
The great outdoors. Sometimes you just gotta get away to a place where life is simpler. The air is clean and the nearest ringing phone is about a million miles away. One of the best places that we found is My Cowboy Cabin near Joseph, Oregon, in the heart of the Eagle Cap Wilderness.
Eagle Cap is the largest unspoiled wilderness area in Oregon, with breathtaking views of granite mountains and crystal clear lakes, and more than 500 miles of trails to explore. It's one of the premier hiking, fishing, and hunting destinations in the Pacific Northwest. My Cowboy Cabin is open from Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend and can be reserved on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on availability. With a cabin that sleeps up to 8 people.
And also a teepee that sleeps 8 or more.
That's right. It's perfect for family vacations, retreats, reunions, and more. Find out more at mycowboycabin.com.
And we're back.
The thing that I wanted to point out with that last clip was I remember where we had no idea how this was going to work.
No, not at all.
And you had written some stuff out. We've kind of got it to a science of like the run sheet, the scripts are written, and we honestly, you and I don't even have to be in the same room to get this thing done.
Oh, we're always together, always. Like it's like whatever like hardcore newspaper movie you've ever seen.
That's
where
what it's like in this room.
High pressure.
We need to get this story out right away.
Right away, man.
Do you have the format for the next print?
Why are we from the 1930s?
Because that's what every newspaper person sounds like in my head.
Got ink on my hands there, bub.
But when we first did that first episode, I was like, you're like, all right, I've got all this stuff. When should I be down to record? And I was like, I need at least 3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours to make sure we get everything we need. And we were so like,
It took about 3 hours.
Well, because we were so not sure of what we were doing. I didn't know how to produce at that time. I was just
your voice
figuring it
was really
out.
on the podcast at all at the beginning.
I didn't read any stories.
Yeah.
And we had the history, we had the news, and you were still getting the groove of reading the news on the show. So there was a lot of mess ups.
I mean, such as it is.
I had to mess with the vocals so much to try and get them to a more professional sound.
Yeah.
Because we were working off of a lot less professional equipment than we are now.
Right. I did like how you gave me that James Earl Jones voice. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, so yeah, it was just thinking about what was the situation that we were in when we started compared to now, and then looking at our stats. These stats are pretty nuts.
Okay, hit us with them.
Well, I don't have specifics at all, but it says in the first month of September, the total for September, we had 77 downloads.
Oh, so it was a lot less than I thought.
Yeah.
So that was that first week.
Because our first episode came out at the end of September, right?
September 24th.
Yeah, so 77 downloads in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the next month of October, episode 1 had an additional download of 114. So, one was still being listened to when we released all of our other episodes in October.
Mm-hmm.
Our number 1 episode in October was number 7, though, at 178 downloads. Hand in Hanlon.
Yeah, Mary Hanlon, director or manager of the Dahlia. So,
yeah. And it's a pretty big deal, right? So, we had a lot of listenership on that.
Mm-hmm.
So the total downloads for October were 1,633 downloads.
That's crazy.
Our last month, August 2019, we had a total of 6,946 downloads.
In the last month?
Last August,
Yeah.
the entirety of August had that amount.
Yeah. That's more than 77.
Just a little bit. I think our
I'm not
highest,
a mathematician, but
I think our highest is July, 2 months ago, 6,995.
Okay.
So we were 5 listeners away from hitting our 7,000 goal.
Yeah.
Guys, tell 5 people about this show.
Yeah, just listen to 5 more episodes. Go back and listen to 5 episodes from this show that you've seen. You're like, oh, I really liked Columbia or
no. If you think about it, legitimately, if you think about it, if everybody who listens to this show told one person about it, our numbers would skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a cool thing to think about.
Well, really, I mean, and yeah, we definitely hope people do enjoy the show enough to share it with people. I mean, that's really the only way we grow. We don't advertise or anything like that, so it's all been through word of mouth. But I see a total over there of from the past year of 57,300. 57.3 thousand. Yeah,
I don't know how to say that any other way. That's how it says it right there.
That's true. 57,300, but.
So
it's crazy. I also have our website numbers. We're almost at 150,000 hits on our website. 148.
Yeah.
239. We're like over 1,860, I think, on Facebook. 1,700 around there on Instagram. Around 450, I think, on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's just been crazy. I cannot believe the support that we got to this weird podcast. It's just 2 guys that do it on the side, but I mean, we really do care about what we do, and we try hard, and I think Canby sees that and appreciates that.
And I sincerely want to thank everyone who listens to our show, because you guys have, I deal with a lot of stuff in my life, and we've had some pretty serious moments on the show,
as you've seen.
As we've talked about suicide and people who have lost family, recovered family, and it, like, you guys affect everyone in the community, and you guys definitely affect us in good ways, sometimes in bad ways. There are things that have happened that have really affected us in negative ways, but I am a podcast producer now. Like, it's not what I do full time for a living, but it is something that I can say that I am. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I get to continue to do that is because you guys continue to listen. Mm-hmm. And you guys seem to enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And you've given me a hope for something that I can try and achieve in this town. We've talked about it before, I have another show that's getting ready to come out, and that's happening because of this show, because I met someone else who is interested in the same stuff that I am, and the Book Nook wants us to record there and do the show there, so this town supports that, and in every way that I can, as someone who comes from the city of Canby, I want to make this city as wonderful a place as possible. And you guys have encouraged me over the last 100 episodes, almost a full year, that's a possibility. Mm-hmm. And with your guys' support, I 100% feel that Frankie and we have something achievable. I think this is only the first step in what we really want to do with all of our ideas and crazy schemes.
Yeah.
And you guys have shown us that it's a possibility. And so I really wanted to thank you, honestly, sincerely, if you've made it through the full 2-hour episode.
Yeah, my wife's like calling me, like, where are you?
Yeah. Luckily, I gave a heads up to my wife, like, halfway through, like, yeah, it's going to be a long one.
Like, they're supposed to be together.
Yeah.
She should, yeah.
I sincerely want to thank you guys for sticking with us, supporting us, promoting us. You know, like I said, if each of our listeners told 1 or 2 people about our show, you have no idea how much of an impact that makes on us.
Yeah, and this is really all for you guys. So we appreciate the support. We wouldn't do it without you. I mean, honestly, like, if the stats 100%. Are great, like, you know, they make us happy, they make us feel warm and fuzzy inside, but really what matters to us is that every one of those is a person and a Canby that's appreciating what we do, enjoying what we do, and without that, we would have stopped a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I have done stuff like this for a long time, like upwards of 10 years now, or over 10 years.
Right.
I've never had a professional, I mean, that may be too highfalutin a word for what we do, but I've never had an experience like this before.
Right.
Where we really are at the same level as the people. There's no separation really between us and the people that we're serving, I guess.
Yeah.
The fans or listeners or whatever you want to call it, they know that they can hit us up, and they do with ideas and with criticism and with praise and all kinds of great stuff, and we love that. And that's really been, as much as we've throughout this past 2 hours have shared the actual work that made the show. What really makes it for me is having that feedback and having that support and just that experience of being part of the community, not making decisions or really causing anything, but just being that part, and hopefully a positive part as much as we can, and we certainly try. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed this look back. We have been staring at these.
They're melting. They're melting.
These these cupcakes. They're not 100 cupcakes, but they have
100 written.
They have the candles, yeah. And they have been sort of melting over this past 2 hours. So we're gonna light these up and then blow them out.
Even though I already.
You already sampled you had your eye on that fudge one for a while.
I did. So. Honestly, I've had my eye on all of them this entire time. I can't decide which one looks best.
Okay, I'm gonna give you this one to blow out, but don't get germs on it because this one I'm gonna eat. So.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I want the vanilla one. Give me the vanilla one. I want to eat that one.
You want this one?
Yeah.
You don't want the fudge?
I like vanilla more.
Okay, here we go.
Weird.
Happy 100 episodes, Tyler.
Yeah, happy 100.
Happy 100, Canby.
Thanks, Canby.
Thank you.
Oh, this frosting looks so good.
Oh, no. So gross.